Well, we've just finished our annual Tour Guide Summit, and we've been featuring it on Facebook. And I thought, there's a lot of questions. People look at how much fun our guides are having, and they are a great group of people. They're asking, how can I be a Rick Steves tour guide? Well, I thought I would invite Steve Smith, who coordinates all of our guides, to join us and talk about that very issue. Steve, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
So, Steve Smith, at one time, you and I were each guides, and we had 4 guides at Europe to the Vector. We were half of the crew.
We were. The most important half.
Right. And in the last year, how many tours did we lead and how many guides did we have?
We had 130 guides leading about 650 tours.
And what do we expect next year?
About 25 more guides on about 100 more tours. So you can, from that, about every guide does 4 tours in a year.
Now, we just had this summit, and we spent nearly $200,000 on this summit to bring 130 guides into town from Europe. And it was a week-long series of brainstorming and welcoming the public and selling a lot of tours. For you, as the person who has to coordinate all of our guides, how was this worthwhile? We spent a lot of energy and a lot of money.
It's the best money we spent all year on our guides. It's the one chance they have to feel like they belong to a company, to have face-to-face contact with you, with me, with our staff, to meet our staff in the office, and to learn from us.
Yeah, and with each other. I get a sense there was real bonding going on.
It's a very good point. Yeah, they love the sense of belonging to a larger group and meeting each other and getting to know each other.
Now, 130-some guides. What took most of your time as the manager of all these guides?
Well, during the workshop, we call it a workshop, was meeting with them individually. So I make sure to meet with every one of them who flies in from out of town individually during that time.
You actually sat down with each guide?
One-on-one.
Now, why would you sit down with a guide who's been doing tours with us for 10 years for half an hour just to go over his
Like the
work?
question. We review their performance, how they did during the previous years, what their concerns are, interests are for the next year, and then what their schedule should look like for the next year. A lot of our guides do more than one itinerary.
So you got 600, roughly 600 tours, 130 guides. Everybody's got their own schedules. How on earth do you coordinate all of this? I mean, we got so many tours landing in Frankfurt, and there's a guide there.
I'd be lost without Excel.
Excel,
Right.
okay.
And I have a staff that helps me, of course, too. But it's matching the right personality with the right knowledge and background with the right tour. And we have, I think, 40 itineraries. And what did I say, 130 guides? And there's a fit for somebody everywhere that we have educated to be a guide.
So what are your biggest challenges in working for our tour?
Ooh, I like that question. It's predicting demand. Remember, last year, Eastern Europe, for example, tour, 16-day tour, just sold everything we could possibly find. It was remarkable. This year the sales are down. So I trained guides to lead the tour one year, and the next year sales are down. What do I do with those guides who are trained to lead that specific itinerary?
Now, people were watching all the fun we're having. They say, I want to be a guide.
Yeah.
What does it take to be a guide? I mean, what do you look for when you're hiring a guide?
So yeah, what I look for are people who have charisma first and foremost. They have to be knowledgeable, intelligent. They have to speak well and show a lot of patience.
Now, some of these guides work for our company and other companies because they're cobbling together a full-time career, and we can only provide a portion of their guiding time. How is a Rick Steves tour guide different from the standard tour guide in Europe?
Well, the ones we use, our guides don't spend any time looking for options, meaning taking people on excursions that aren't covered in their base price. There's no shopping that's organized with the tour. It's all about teaching.
So they're paid up front. Now, some guides could probably make more money selling things for commissions and angling for tips.
And they do.
And they'd prefer to go with another tour company.
Yes. Most that I've met,
Right.
whom we've hired who have that background, prefer the straightforward approach where they're pays up front, we pay them well, they don't have to worry about tips or kickbacks.
Now, what's the day-to-day reality of a guide? Because it seems like a glamorous, wonderful job. You're paying me to go to Europe and show people around, What's the reality? How can you give a blunt kind of picture of what a tour guide's work is?
Well, it's not glamorous, but it is fun if you have the energy for it. You're on call 24/7. You're living out of a suitcase or a rucksack. And
what are the hours? Is it like 9 to 5?
It's pretty much morning until people go to bed at night. Our guides have to give all the tour members their cell phone number and their room number just in case.
So the guide's on call 24/7.
They have to.
Everybody's got their cell phone number.
And the glamorous part of the job, I think, comes from the satisfaction of teaching well, communicating the history of the place you're in so that people remember it.
You used to guide for like 20 years.
And I miss it.
what was your favorite thing when you think back about guiding?
Teaching well, absolutely.
well.
Connecting with people too. I mean, every guide will tell you that you have to love people. You can't succeed in this job. The love of people and being around people and telling a good story.
Okay, prediction. Next year, how many tours will we run?
750,
How many guides will do those tours?
160, 150.
And how many groups will show up for a tour and have no guide waiting for them?
None.
Good. Steve Smith, thank you so much. And happy travels to our friends in Facebook.
Happy travels.